Hello, is it the subtitles? Yeah, the subtitles are working. Hello, everyone. Hello, my name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman who's sort of dressed, festive, I guess. I've got some green overalls on and a very nice stripy top. And this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, in which I, Fiona, read TTRPG from the bookshelf of Doom or the Google Drive of Mystery as part of sort of an accountability stream. I've got some news about that, the bookshelf of Doom, by the way. So you might have noticed the last couple of weeks I've not been streaming as much due to a number of things. November was just wildly busy with like doing recordings and stuff like that, which is very, very exciting, very good for me. But obviously having to prep a bit more and do some stuff, so I've been having to keep pushing these ones back. This stream's particularly has been, I think it's been like pushed back since like September, so I feel very bad about it. But I was away the last 2 weeks, and the bookshelf of Doom nearly fell over on my partner because I'd arranged it in such a way like alphabetical. Turns out all the heavy books are instead of the top end of the alphabet, and they nearly fell on him. So we had to have a big scramble and move all the stuff. Basically, the bookshelf was not anchored to the wall properly, and I think at some point we'll think about doing it. But now I have to decide how to reorganize my books. That isn't like by alphabetical order, so there you go. But I hope you're all doing well, friends. You may be wondering why, she's not as animated as possible. It's because I've got a cat on my lap who jumped up like 2 minutes before the stream went live, so now I'm like, well, I've only got one hand to use for the stream. But yes, everything's going well. I've just come back from my first visit back to the UK since I moved over. Which was very lovely. Got to see lots of people, lots of podcast people, which is always good. Saw my parents, which is always, tick before Christmas. And and I had a big break from editing, and I feel so much better. It's one of those things where you never think about it. Hello, Dimitri. Dimitri says, reorganizing books is one of my favourite things. I do it every time I add a couple more books to mine. Dimitri, if you would like to come and organise my books, I'd appreciate it, because it's one of those things where I agree, I enjoy the act of organising books. I don't have the time, and I hate, we've all done it, we get that hyper-focus about reorganising our books, right? And you go, great, and halfway through, you're like, oh no, I've made a big mess. And there's the inner sort of, person in me go, oh, you've fucked up, you need to do something else, and so I have to will myself to go through it. So that reorganising the bookshelf will absolutely take like half a day, and I don't have that currently. Maybe next week when after Christmas, but there's so many good books. I also say, like, I'm the same with my dice shelf as well. I actually got my it's over there. I can't reach it because I've got the cat on my lap, but I've got my new dice tray, which is like a cup and saucer, and it's great. Managed to get it over without breaking it, so I'm like, take points for me. But I hope you're doing well, friends, and welcome to the stream if it's your first time. So yeah, today, friends, I'll go through it in case you're new here. What we tend to do, we go for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, maybe 2 hours or so for this one. And go for an RPG that's caught my interest. And usually I do this by going through a random number generator. I've actually going back to organising files and stuff like that. I did before I moved over earlier this year. I did a big old organisation of my Google folder, and my god, that has saved my life so much. So now I can easily find those TTRPGs rather than just dumping them there for eons to never to find them again. And the number generator back in September picked this one, and then for various reasons I keep pushing it back because it's one of those ones where I was like, it's a big in-depth one, I will say that from the top from a quick look at it, but it's so important. It's one of those games where I've gone, I know I'll enjoy it as soon as I read it, so I want to give it the proper time. And it was in the time when like the streaming I was doing was like, it was like an hour or maybe even like an hour and 15. I was like, I want to do this justice. So today, friends, we are going to look at Koriko, A Magical Year, which I'm very excited to look at. It's by Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison, part of not Stout Press, that's a different one. Mousehole Press. It got animal in the name, so we're going to look at that today. It is a solo RPG. Let me read out the quick blurb here. So it's a game for one player designed for, I cannot say that word off the top of my head. Contemplative? Reflective solo play. It is a bubbling cauldron of simple rules and writing prompts, stirred together to produce a story of a teenage witch spending a year away from home in an unfamiliar city called Koriko. Naturally, this is going to be inspired by Kiki's Delivery Service, a Studio Ghibli film, and the novel as well, which is exciting. I really love Kiki's Delivery Service. It's one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films, although I think my favourite is, I think it's called The Cat Returns, that one where it's like she saves a cat and then she goes to the cat kingdom. I think it's excellent. So what we're going to do, as always, I'll do my disclaimer at the top. I am not sponsored to do this. I will set up my Ko-Fi at some point, I know. Mousehole Press have not sent me anything like this. I bought this a little while ago. Or I think I helped fund the Kickstarter a little while ago. So it was just sort of something that came up. So I've not been sponsored to do this. And as a result, there's no vested interest in this. I'm going to be looking at this game with a sort of as somebody who runs a lot of RPGs and reads a lot of RPGs, I'm coming at this with the sort of look of like, how do we run this game? Someone who's brand new to it, what does it look like? And is it easy to understand? Equally, I would say I'm also not a game designer. Like I said, I read a lot of books. I run a lot of different RPG systems, but I have absolute awe and respect for people who sit down and write whatever's in here out there. I improvise everything, so so please take any sort of critique I give with a grain of salt, because again, as I've discovered, reading is very helpful and absolutely should do. Playtesting is also important as well, and often your opinions change if you playtest it, because then it makes sort of sense. So that's the thing. Finally, disclaimers. Disclaimers. Content warnings, that's the word I was looking for. Content warnings. I don't think there's going to be anything too deep, particularly in this one. Obviously, it is a reflective solo play. So we're going to have experiences, maybe themes of isolation, perhaps, and being away from home, being sad, being on your own, that sort of thing, and coming across, obstacles and adversities. That's the only thing I can really think of. It's not anything too more deep than that. But of course, if something else does come up, I'll try and flag it. And obviously, at any point, please feel free to step away from the VOD, step away from the stream, and come back if and when you're ready. This is supposed to be a nice, cozy stream, and I'd rather people, buy into it, so to speak, rather than going, witches. Ugh. All right, I'm going to go over to my to the next thing. So what we do next, we go to where you can buy this game. Actually, I'll put another link. Oh, I'm not as quick as I am because the cat sat on one of the hands. So there we go. So there's a link both in the description and in the chat as well, where you can get it. And we're going to go look over it. I'm going to look at what it looks like. Because this is the thing, and I say this every single time, but I think it's important. When you're looking to buy a game, often the thing is the marketing behind it. Like, what does it look like on the screen before you even open the first page? So we're going to look at the marketing copy and where you can get it. So this is on Mousehole Press's itch.io page. And I will say other ones by Jack Harrison as well that I have actually played. I've played Artifact, actually I've spoken about a couple of times on my various podcasts, which is another solo game where you make a magical item that's passed down from chosen person to chosen person, and about the story about how this item changes. And I really loved it. It was a really, really fun game. Absolutely can recommend. I think that used some sort of... what was the system? It used the Skeleton System by Jason Morningstar, which is really great. Anyway, enough of me gabbling on. Let's go away from Big Fiona Face. Just slightly smaller Fiona Face. Oh, but that's not the page we were looking at. Silly me. Hang on. Chrome. There we go. There's Chrome. Hooray. So there's Koriko. What beautiful, chill, creamy vibes. That nice big picture at the top there. Koriko, A Magical Year. And we can see, again, I don't know if Itch has alt text inbuilt in its platform. I assume not. I also appreciate Itch was taken down recently. Oh, hello, Sam. Hello, friend. Nice to have you here as well. Dimitri says, I got the box version of Koriko at Dragonmeet this year, but currently still wrapped in its pretty paper. Oh, yes. Oh, fantastic. You got the physical version. That's amazing. Yeah, it looks very, very beautiful. Again, and this is something I'd say as well. At some point, gosh knows when and if I'll ever have the capacity to do it myself, I'd love to show physical books. There's a person who what are they called? I think they're called Bud's RPG Review channel, which is a good channel. I like how they do it. Basically, they have a camera over the head, and he opens the book and reads through it. It's very good, as a setup sort of thing. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, so I don't want to promote him too much, but I'd recommend checking out. Dimitri says, yeah, it's been taunting me for quite some time already. Well, solo games, especially this one, I feel like it takes time to invest in it. Some solo games, I'm a big fan of ones that you can do in one session and don't have to think about it ever again. You get more reward, obviously, going back over time, certainly with this one, as we'll see, but it's the commitment to it. So again, making a habit of it as well. But I'm nice you got the I was gonna say the full version. That's what I mean, the physical version, because there's something beautiful about it. I tend to look at the digital versions myself. A, because it's a little bit cheaper, but B, like I don't necessarily have space. As I said, the bookshelf of Doom fell over, or almost fell over, on my partner whilst I was away. So that's why we're just like, well, I can't. I need to justify why to get another book. But amazing. All right, so like I said, there's no alt text on this particular image, but I'll just describe it in case you can't see it. But it is of a person looking out of a window. It looks very Venetian, sort of with the shutters. There is like very beautiful, like I think flowers and dried fruits hanging out of the window as they sort of look out. There's a cat on one of the shutters, and then there's like a line of laundry with birds sitting on it, and you can see there's like a witch's hat. And the picture itself is mostly oranges, so it looks like it's almost like dawn has arrived, or the morning is beginning, that sort of vibe to it, which is very, very cute. I really love it. I'm going to go down a bit. You'll also notice that Koriko won a few things recently. So, was it Ennies this year or last year? I think it must be this year, because it must have come out this year. I think that's in my head. Yes, must be. So it won at the Ennies this year. Best production values was silver, so it came second, but I mean, still quite an amazing thing. Best cover art was silver, nominated for best writing, and nominated for product of the year. I think that was the reason I originally put this in my list of like, oh, we should check this one out, because it was nominated for product of the year. It also has got the judges selection at the awards. I assume that's like tabletop have at it energy awards. I assume it's some sort of RPG thing, but hey, you know what, I'm always a big fan of why a game gets awards, whether it's from a popular vote or the Ennies. I know there's a selection of judges that look at stuff, you know, you have to send off your stuff, so it got nominated and won like over 4 categories, so that's quite something. You also have here on the right some of the spreads. Oh, look at that, full spreads as well, so you can see. And these spreads as well, it's mostly text from what I can tell. Oh, it's taking the time to think about it. Amazing. So a lot of this, I think, obviously there's going to be artwork in it, but a lot of it is going to be easy enough to read. I've got some columns. I can deal with these columns, but it seems very clear writing just on the off from the sort of preview images, so that's pretty good. All right, so let's go into the overview. So I've said this already, but I'll go over it again. This is a game for one player designed for, I can't say, reflective solo play. I'll get there one day. It is a bubbling cauldron of simple rules and writing prompts, stirred together to produce the story of a teenage witch spending a year away from home in an unfamiliar city called Koriko. The game's primary inspiration is Kiki's Delivery Service, both the Studio Ghibli film and the Edko Kanduno novel. I've watched the film countless times as it's one of my son's favourites. Oh, and its story and themes have burrowed their way deep into my soul. You don't need to have played a role-playing game before. This isn't much like most of them anyway. Passing familiarity with witches, urban exploration, and teen drama is all the background you need. I like that. I like that sort of thing there. But I'll be honest, this top bit here, this is... You're right, Fancy Alice. She just leaped. So this is like, again, this is where we come for like the marketing copy. What is this book? So I feel like that first line it should be like a one-player game for a teenage witch spending it. Yeah, I just think that's a little bit wordy. Getting, you know, I get one way to play solo game. That's all you need. It's a bit too many words for it. Again, I know it's supposed to be cozy, but it needs to get to the point, because the real point is this, like, what is this game? It is the story of a teenage witch spending a year away from home. That's what it is. And that is on the, that's in the second part of the second line. It needs to move up first. I think, again, the tone, of course, is coming from the game designer. Jack is obviously being like, hey, this is why I'm reading it. You know, I love it. It feels like, you know, very friendly. It feels very familiar. Fine. It's not going to help me, like, I feel like if I was selling this at a con, or, you know, like what is, you know, I think you just need a little bit more pithy. That's the only thing I'd say for that. But it gets across what we're doing for it. We've got a beautiful, this is the front image, and oh, that's quite interesting. They've got the cover art, and it is credited there at the top by Deb JJ Lee. So what does it say? Your witch's story is told in 6 sections or volumes, each taking an hour or 2 of your time. Okay, so roughly about 6 hours or so. At a minimum. To play, you need this book, a deck of tarot cards, and a stack of dice. You'll also need a journal to write your story in. We'll start by helping you create your witch and their journey, their home village, and then we'll whisk them away on their journey to Koriko. The city is a place of your own invention. It might be a charming seaside resort, a smog-choked metropolis, a palace in the clouds, whatever you can imagine. We'll make this place together, asking questions to inspire your creativity. Okay, I kind of like it. Like, it's telling you how to play the game, but it feels like we're going to do this together. Okay, I maybe I'm changing my mind a little bit on the way, because it feels very friendly that you're not on your own doing this. Certainly because 6 sections of 1 or 2 hours, actually, oh god, that could easily be 12 hours, couldn't it? Then your version of Koriko with your version of Koriko established, your witch can explore and meet its weird residents and weird and wonderful residents. To do this, you draw cards, each relating to a prompt that introduces a new event to your story. These prompts are a chance to exercise your creative writing muscles, and when things get risky, we'll add dice to an increasingly precarious stack. Oh, it's a physical thing. You're not necessarily rolling stuff. That's quite fun, isn't it? An actual physical way of doing it. At the end of each volume, you'll pause to reflect, spending time resting before writing a letter home. Sorry, I love letter writing. That's one of my foundries. To your witch's mentor. Then, perhaps after a break, we'll move on to the next volume of events and ephemera. In this way, you'll be guided through the gentle rhythms of the year. That's really cute, isn't it? Okay, I'm getting this now. Like, I like the seasons of it. So I'm guessing like the start and the end. I know it's going to tell us this when we get into the book. The start and the end of it must be the intro, like creating the character and then leaving home, and then you have like the 4 seasons, and then the final one is you coming home, perhaps. Yeah, and then as winter draws to a close at the end of your witch's year in the city, you'll make the biggest decision yet. Will they stay in Koriko to remain the city's resident witch, or leave back home or off to pastures new? Oh, how cute. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cute. I like it. And yeah, there's physical copies as well, and there's a few. So one thing I will say is that, and I appreciate this obviously in American dollars, is it's $18 to get the physical. The PDF edition, obviously, the physical edition will be a little bit more expensive. You got some additional things here. You got a digital tabletop, which is quite exciting. Maybe I should download that and have a look. You got printer-friendly version of the PDF as well, which is good. Again, good for accessibility and whatnot. And a few other little bits and pieces. Presumably some extra add-ons and stuff like that. Because yeah, you don't need a character sheet for this. It is just a solo thing. So what I'll do, I will move over to. Let's get rid of Chrome briefly. Goodbye, and so you can see the thing. I'm going to see what this tabletop thing is. Maybe I can have a quick download and check without ruining things. Cause, again, I should have looked at this beforehand. Digital tabletop. Oh my god, it's a screen top at GG. Oh, so I've seen one of these before for Stout Stoats, One Breath Left. So let me have a look. See. There we go. Hang on, let me bring back. So you don't. There we go. So that's what it looks like, the sort of player, and you can play it as well. Great! So you have a digital version, like you can actually play it. Oh, that's very cute, isn't it? And for one player as well. Cool. You can use it to play the game if you don't have access to a tarot deck, although you still need dice to stack, or use the alternative stacking rules as described in the main book. Amazing! Oh, I love. So again, thinking about accessibility, because yeah, there are. Actually, I don't know if there are a tarot deck like online generators actually, or at least ones that are reliable. That's very fascinating. Okay, great. All right, let's move on to Koriko. So the full book itself on this PDF is 144 pages, so that's the sort of full main book. The actual printer-friendly version is about 220, about 120 pages, so a little bit less because obviously they've taken out quite a lot of the art. We have this obviously very gorgeous art that we saw before from Deb. One thing, as I always say, there is no alt text. So again, it's not something that is like an instant no for me, but it's one thing I hope that going into 2025 and beyond, more people consider alt text, even if it's just a line or two. Since the shift over to Blue Sky that we've had recently, there's been a lot more posting of like alt text, even if it's just a line or two, just giving that description. Because again, if the image wasn't there, what does it describe? What does it show? This particular image is very, very cute. I love it because it's like almost like an alternative witch. So we've got like a sort of the back view of a witch riding a motorcycle, which is very cool, with a very personalized number plate. Got a cat on the back, classic. And they're sort of they're up against like a rock wall, looking over to like a village or a town that's made into the opposing mountaintop side, and there's birds going around, and the colours are again that sort of creaminess, a little bit more darker here, certainly around the wall and the motorbike itself, and reds as well, and then reds, Koriko, A Magical Year, and most importantly, Jack Harrison's name's on the front cover. I can't tell you how often you go, okay, but who wrote it, who published it, and it's not on the front cover for aesthetic reasons, and I'm like, no, put your name on the front cover so people know. Dimitri says there are some, but I found that most aren't great for TTRPGs, and that's definitely a nice touch. You're talking about the tarot card generators. Yeah, absolutely. And I know people have a very special connection to tarot cards as well. I've got so many of them. But, you know, if it's a way to get people into playing your game, removing that barrier to accessibility is great stuff. So good. All right. Look at the inside cover. It's beautiful. So almost like patchwork of different icons. We can see like a bindle up there, a stick with like a little bit of a cloth around it. We've got a star. We also like all these little things, like almost like a patchwork quilt in a sort of creamy peach color as the first sort of 2 pages. This book belongs to. Oh, that's so cute. Like a little like title page. And then we've got Mousehole Press. Gosh, their icon is very cute, isn't it? I like that. I like that a lot. Copyright 2023. Okay, that must be when it originally came out. I feel like it actually physically came out this year. I don't know why. And then we say, for our 2 magical stars who will one day take flight to embark on grand adventures of their own. Oh, how sweet. So that must be both Jack and their partner as well. Again, that is an image, though. Would be nice if that was in text in some way, but it's very cute. Again, I get the hand-drawnness of it because obviously this is going to be like a journal, you're writing stuff about it. And we've got details. Oh, how interesting. So yeah, so we've got like credits and whatnot here, which is great. And then touchstones. That's nice to have it right at the front as well. So we've got Kiki's Delivery Service, both the book and the film. Howl's Moving Castle. Oh, that's such a sad film. Persona 5. Harvest Moon. I devoured Harvest Moon. I'm going to say it. Harvest Moon, so much better than Stardew Valley. There you go. You come for the controversial takes. That's my hot take. We've got Jack Harrison. Will Jobs. Interesting. They are. This Discord contains ghosts. That's not the name of it. This Discord has ghosts in it. I think that's what it's called. But they've done quite a lot of stuff. And then Rachel Harrison. That must be their partner. Amazing. Very cute as well. And a little thank you to all the backers. Amazing. All right. Hello and welcome to Koriko, A Magical Year. Thank you for picking up this little book. I hope you'll find it packed full of witchcraft and wonder. Using this book is split into 6 chapters, each with its own highlight colour to help you find your way. Amazing! I can imagine as a physical copy, you could see them on the edges of the pages. Big tick there. We'll learn the game as we go, working through the chapters in sequence, so feel free to take it at your own pace. Okay, so there are 6 chapters. We probably won't get through all of them today, I'll be honest. We'll go for as much as we can. I think we'll do this one in order as well. And maybe we'll skip over certain sections if we need to. So chapter 1 is On a Clear Day, and this chapter describes safety tools and the things we require to play. It also explains just enough rules to get us started with our story. Nice. That's roughly about 14 pages as well. Chapter 2 is Departure, and in this chapter, we'll create your witch and tell the story of them leaving their sleepy village to journey to their new home of Koriko. Chapter 3, Life in Koriko. This chapter explains the rest of the rules, mostly to do with the cards and the dice, and then that you'll need to continue telling your witch's story. So, okay, the first 3 years then. Nice. First 3 chapters has all you need in it then. Chapter 4, A Magical Year. This chapter has all of the prompts and the structure to take you through the rest of your witch's story as they move through their year in Koriko. Chapter 5, The Heart Inside. This chapter has the confidence, friends, rivals, teachers, and other pivotal folk that your witch might meet over the course of the story. So, some NPCs? That sounds fun. I'll tell you what, I'll move in a little bit because I appreciate maybe... There we go. Oh, that's much better, isn't it? Yeah. And then chapter 6, Sunset Glow. This final chapter has a letter from the designer, and some alternative rules that you can use if you don't wish to stack dice. Amazing. Great. Okay, so I was wrong about the chapter thing, but that's okay. All right. Let's get cracking then, shall we? Oh, look at this beautiful. Hang on, let me see. Can I do 2 page? Oh, no, it's not a two-page view. Damn it. I wanted to see this full spread. It looks like a radio of some sort. Oh, that's very pretty, isn't it? Ooh. You've got some cards and whatnot. All right. Oh, look at that. Nice little starting, like, sort of a chapter title, sort of like pages. So they're having of that dark colour. It probably is a bugger to print. Hence why they've got the printer-friendly version, which is great. And so we've got here, and it breaks it down to each chapter has then it's broken up in. Very smart. I like that. So it's not crowding that initial table of contents page. So in this chapter, on a clear day, we've got an introduction, safety, materials, journal, prompts, writing, and starting your story. So it's collected it all in one. Amazing. Let's get started. All right, let me zoom back. There we go. A little bit better. Yeah. Oh, that'll be okay, won't it? All right. So this is a game for one player designed for reflective solo play. Oh, so this is good. This is just repeating what we had from the copy, the marketing copy. It is a bubbling cauldron of simple rules and writing prompts, stirred together to produce a story of a teenage witch spending a year away from home in an unfamiliar city called Koriko. You don't need to have played a role-playing game before. This isn't much like most of them anyway. A passing familiarity with witches, urban exploration, and teenage drama is all the background you need. So how does this work? Your witch's story is told in 6 sections or volumes, each taking an hour or 2 of your time. To play, you need this book, a deck of tarot cards, and a stack of dice. You'll also need a journal to write your story in. We'll start by helping you create your witch and then take your home. Oh, we've already covered this, haven't we? Yes, just checking. Yeah, we've already covered that. So it's just repeating what we saw from before. Perfectly fine. I actually think it was a really good introduction to it. Yeah, looks good. I love the sort of shading of the purple to indicate the colours. That's very good. You alright, Fancy Alice? She's seen a bird. She might leap off at any moment. Alright. Safety. Intentions. So stories produced by this game should be light-hearted and tender, in bold there. The idea of a 16-year-old travelling alone to a strange city is fraught with safety issues, and Kiki was even younger. We're trying to tell a fun coming-of-age story, not a grim tale about child endangerment. You'll have a better time with this game if you embrace this intention. I'm just trying to think. I think when I first went to London by myself, I was 16 for like a long weekend. Yeah, okay, I can dig those vibes. Themes. There are some themes that occur regularly in this game that are worth mentioning. Each theme is written with the intentions we established, but a little forewarning might be helpful if they're difficult topics for you. Oh, amazing. So we have parental expectations and control, loneliness, especially from moving somewhere new, peer pressure and media harassment, and physical or emotional harm, but it's infrequent. When we talk about prompts later, we'll describe how you can skip unwanted content if it comes up during your story. Amazing. So we've got the sort of content warnings here about the general sort of themes. Yeah, I sort of was a bit spot on about loneliness, but yeah, I hadn't even thought about the expectations of moving from home and the emotional sort of, I presumably like the emotional grief and stuff like that. Andy says, just scrolling YouTube on my lunch break and found your channel. Sorry I can't stay and watch, but I'll be back. Oh, no worries. Thanks, Andy. Finding support. As we've explained, Koriko will throw challenges at your witch that might trigger feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, sorry, or depression. Being a teenager is hard, and the prompts are open enough that you have the freedom to take your story in a lighter or darker direction, especially if that's in line with how you're feeling already. So a big yawn from Fancy Alice there. If the game feels you feeling low, or if you're already struggling, there are free resources that might help. Mind and Mental Health Charity has advice and support. And related to this game, they had pages on loneliness. Does that link work? That link does not work. I mean, to be fair, this might be an old copy. That link, those links do not work, unfortunately. Self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. That's a shame. I wonder if. Let me just check that. What did it say? I think that update might have it in. So there's a little thing at the bottom. 101 since launch includes a little fixes in the book that also fixed in the first printing and bonus writing. Oh. Okay. Oh, Just sorry, I'm just reading through the thing here. It says audio and rules explanations, which will also be live on their website, Koriko.guide. Let me. Sorry, I knew we were in the middle of something, but I just want to check it. Oh, is it going to load? Koriko.guide does not work. Oh, no, it's a landing page. Oh, content will be added here shortly. Ah, classic. Okay, well, that's cool to know that there'll be video stuff for it. Anyway, so that's a shame about the links there, but I assume, again, you can update that in another thing. But cool that they shout out Mind specifically there. I think what I would do maybe is just highlight that in a certain color, perhaps like bolden it a little bit, because otherwise it just sort of is sort of into the background a little bit. But hey, love it, thank you. Materials of the deck. So this game uses a tarot deck. The deck is used in different ways throughout the game, but you only need one deck. If you don't have a tarot deck, there are lots of websites that let you draw tarot cards. You can also find guides online on how to use 2 standard playing cards, decks of playing cards to approximate a tarot deck. In Koriko, we call the face cards, the page, knight, queen, and king, and the suits, wands, cups, swords, and coin. They won't make any difference to your decks using different terms, as long as you're consistent with the substitutions. Tick. You'll also need a pile of 6-sided dice, at least 21. We'll just refer to these as dice from now on, as you don't use any other dice shapes. We've had the best experience using similarly sized dice between 12 and 16 millimeters. Stacking up 10 dice should feel challenging, but achievable. You'll stack this dice in a tower that becomes unstable as you play, so make sure you've got space to build and nothing breakable nearby. We have alternative rules available if stacking does not work for you. Interesting. I have done it for podcasts where I've done like a Jenga tower or something like that when I've been recording, but it's interesting to like be here in front of a mic and then do something. It's actually, you don't have the space to do it because you want to make sure you get the audio for it. So yeah, interesting. 21 though, that's wild. And a journal. You'll keep a written record. Ooh, I'm like a broken record. Of your story in your witch's journal. You need a pen and paper. The stories run between 60 to 80 pages in our journal. Oh gosh, that's so long. And so make sure you have plenty of space or a digital document. I probably will go for a digital document. Given that this is a solo experience, you can spend as much time on your journal as you like. It can be a hastily scrawled mess, tag yourself, or you could add illustrations, stickers, poems, whatever you feel like. You might, in a different colour it says, you might prefer to keep your journal private, but otherwise I'd love to see it and if you shared pictures of your story with me. It brings me a lot of joy to see. Oh, you can reach me at the email address and on socials with at Mousehole Press. How cute is that? I like that. Oh. Index. So if you're using a paper journal, the first thing to do is to create your index. For now, all you need to do is leave 2 facing pages free, so a spread. If your journal doesn't have page numbers, you can add them. Oh, you can add them as you write. Yes, that makes sense. As you start a new section in your journal, such as your map, each volume, individual confidence, you should add a line to your index with the page number. This will help you navigate as your journal grows. Right, so as in like a table of contents, essentially. If you're playing digitally, you might not need the index, as moving and organising content is more flexible. Agreed, but you know what? Actually thinking about this, I bet there's a market for like a Notion template of this sort of thing, or having like a WordPress or not WordPress, an EndNote or Microsoft whatever notes for that, and make it really proper bullet journal like would be quite cool. Careful, fancy eyes. Oh, are we off? You off? Alright. Bye. Or we're just stretching. Oh, no, she's off. Okay. Oh, get my hand back. Alright. The map. 2 pages after your index are for your map. This isn't a scale representation of the city with roads and rivers, it's an organisational tool. Split each page in half horizontally with a line, creating 4 equal sections, and label them with the 4 tarot suits, so wands, cups, swords, coins. If you're playing digitally, you can use a whiteboard app instead. Each of the tarot suits have a particular vibe in this game. The physical space of your city In the physical space of your city, these might be expressed as districts, except that the cities are rarely divided into neat quarters. Instead, think of the suits as a way to shape and colour the story you tell. When you introduce confidence into your story, which we'll talk about later, you'll add tones to your map, places, details, or feelings. For example, if you meet the Fool, you might be adding perfumed mountains, gilded portraits, and loveless hearts to the sword section of your map. You might then draw on these tones the next time you get a sword-related prompt. Almost like a mind map sort of thing, like to give you those prompts and when you go back to it. In this way, as you meet more confidence and add more tones to your map, the picture of your city will grow rich and more varied. Cool. All right. Then we've got skills. So the next spread after your map is for your witch's skills. Skills are broad categories covering physical, mental, and emotional abilities. You'll use them when your witch does something risky and you need to stack dice. Split each page in half with a horizontal line, creating 4 equal... Oh, that looks like a bit of a gap, but I think that's just the way it's aligned. And label them with 4 skills. Power is bravery, sorcery, and persuasion. Craft is potions, tricks, and method. Care is kindness, intuition, and healing. Lore is curses, visions, and history. Leave plenty of space in each section to write lessons, your witch's formative experiences. And we'll talk about skills and lessons later on. After skills, you'll begin writing entries and letters, which are a lot like real diary entries. They are written by your witch using their voice and perspective. You should start a new page for each entry or letter. And we'll explain this, writing letters and entries, when we talk about writing on page 18. Confidence. Confidence? Yeah. The final thing you'll put in your journal is confidence. Friends, rivals. Oh God, I just see confidence. Confidants. Friends, rivals, teachers, and other pivotal folk that your witch might meet as you play. We'll talk more about them later, but as each one is introduced, set aside a new page and record all their details on it. Their name, description, and page reference from this book. You might add notes to their page as you spend time with them, so leave plenty of space and add a page to your index so you can find it later. Interesting. Where would I put that, though? Because I think I would go from the back, right, with confidence. I would probably go, if I'm going forward, I've got the index, I've got the map, I've then got the skills, and then entries and letters. I feel like every time I get a new confidant, if I was doing this physically, I'd probably go to the back of the book and then go backwards. That's what I think I would do, rather than trying to put them in between letters and entries. Again, it's easier when it's digital because you can have a whole page to that, but I'm just thinking, like, how would I do it without going, I've ruined my notebook? A note on prompts. So a prompt is a collection of statements and questions to inspire your story. When a prompt is introduced, it often makes something true in your story. So an event, a feeling. You're then asked to respond to it with 1 or more questions. Here's a prompt that you might answer in the game. So we have this prompt, which is in purple with in italics. A villager has a strange problem, and your mentor asks you to take the lead in aiding them. What trouble do you uncover? What mistake does your mentor save you from making? Oh gosh, oh no. This prompt establishes quite a few things. Villagers come to witches with problems, your mentor wants to push you, someone is in trouble, and you almost make a mistake. This is how your story grows. Sometimes prompts are more reflective, simply asking questions. So an example here is, what will you miss about home? What are you glad to leave behind? Even though we've established that there are things your witch will miss and things that they're glad to leave behind, even here, though, we've established that there are things your witch will miss and things that they're glad to leave behind. New details to build upon. Even here, your story grows. Sorry. Okay. Suggestions. So most prompts have a short list of suggestions, usually related to one of the questions. Here's some suggestions you might find for a prompt. So here we've got some examples in that purple italics. Sugar gremlins. What a great combination of words. Swollen buds, siren chorus, noxious floods. You're welcome to use, modify, or ignore these suggestions as you like. They might spark a cool idea that you take in a wild direction. They might be irrelevant for your story, or they might be just what you needed. And then interpreting prompts. If you're unsure about what something in a prompt means or what it's asking you, that's okay. Look at the suggestions to see if they help clarify things, or just go with whatever interpretation you find most interesting. Yeah, I like it. So far, it's very gentle. Like, it's obviously telling us what the instructions are, but it's doing it in a way which it's not patronizing or anything like that, but it feels like, but it doesn't feel like, oh, this is your first RPG, this is how we do solo games. If anything, I quite like how they've gone, right, we're setting up your journal, and these are the bits for it. So it feels very natural talking about it. And then these examples being in a different colour, I like it. I think the only thing I would say, I think the examples, because they're in that very italicizing, it's a little bit hard to read, I think. So maybe what I would do, maybe I'd put it in a different colour, or maybe I would make them in bold. I don't know. I just feel like it's just a little thing on that. I think it's just a little hard to see. Like, if I zoom out a little bit, you can sort of tell. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to make it a bit more obvious that that's an example. All right. So getting prompts. There are 3 ways you'll get prompts: cards, choices, and dice rolls. Most of the game will be driven by prompts that you get from cards, but we don't use those in the first volume, so we talk about them later. Oh, okay. So for now, you'll be asked to choose or roll for a prompt on a list. When you choose the choice, when the choice is intentional or significant to your witch. Choose freely, reading them all first or picking one that catches your eye. Otherwise, roll for a result on the prompt list. These lists are labelled 1 to 6, roll a die and match the result as directed. Nice. Again, this is what I'm saying before about the explaining how to play the game. Rather than going like, hey, there's 3 ways you get cards, 3 ways you get prompts, right? Cards, choices, and dice rolls. We're going to talk about cards later. Let's go straight on to what you're going to do in that first chapter. Amazing. That's just so quick. And a lot of games don't do that. They'll give you all this information up front. Like, I would have probably read this before and it told you how cards worked. And they go, you don't need this for the first chapter. And you're like, well, why do I have to read it right now? Sometimes you'll be asked to get more than one prompt, often from different sources, combining them to inspire the next part of your story. Prompts may repeat themselves. For a more interesting and surprising story, only use each prompt once. If you're rolling for a prompt and get one you've already previously answered, you can always shift your die result up or down by 1 until you get something new. Or just choose freely from the list instead. That's something I do. I'm sure you folks at home also do this as well, where you roll a d6 and you go, okay, a 4. I'm going to roll again. And they'll go, no. But like, I like the fact, the act of rolling, you go, I've tried it, this is what I get, but maybe I don't want to do that. But I've actually shifted around recently to be like, sure, I'm going to go full on randomization and see what I can work with. I like both of them, but I've recently shifted to be more random, use more random rolls. Again, it's not for everyone. Skipping prompts. So whether through dice rolls or cards draws, many prompts in this game will be given to you using a random method. On occasion, this may result in you getting a prompt that you find either doesn't fit your story or makes you, the player, feel uncomfortable. In these situations, you're always welcome to ignore the prompt. If it's a card and you don't want to see it again, remove it from the deck. Ooh, that's cool. I've not had that before. I think the only time that's happened to me in a solo game was when we did... it's not a Drop of Blood. It's the vampire solo game we did for Euphoria. But it told us right at the beginning that a particular card had sexual content. If you didn't want to have that, you could remove it. So that I was like, yes. Here, it sort of says it currently doesn't give you like what each card is as a summary, but it goes, if you don't want to see it again, just remove the card. I like that. That instant sort of like checking in with yourself, going, no thanks, not for me. Very good. You might want to replace the prompt, drawing another card of the same type, for instance. Otherwise, just move on to the next part of your story. This game is flexible. You can skip a few prompts without issue. Nice. And then we go on to writing. So a note on the writing. A lot of games produce incredible stories that are never written down. When you play with friends, each of you is witness to the story and part of its creation. These stories live on in our shared experience, and even if there are no artifacts of play like notes, photos, or sketches. When playing alone, though, it can feel a little nebulous to create and manage a story entirely in your own head. And as such, when this game asks you to consider a prompt or summarize an experience, the end result of your creativity will be recorded in writing. The page is the witness. That doesn't mean you can never change your mind, though. Sometimes it makes sense to go back and change something. Perhaps you'll hit an undecided contradiction, or are inspired to come up with a better answer. A story you will tell will be better if you let yourself be an editor sometimes. Yeah, that's quite good. That's very good. Kinds of writing. Some of the writing you'll do will be functional, like the index and the map we talked about when we're preparing your journal. Most of it, though, will be in character as you use your witch's words to record their experiences. There are 3 kinds of this in-character writing you'll create as you play. Entries, letters, and lessons, and each has their own style and format. What else? So, entry writing. Entries are a part of your witch's journal. You'll often be asked to create a new journal entry, answering one or more of the prompts with some writing. Entries should be fairly short, 2 to 3 paragraphs is probably right. Sometimes you might end up writing more if something particularly momentous happens, but if you're consistently writing reams of text for each entry, you might find your stamina flagging by the end of the game, absolutely. Especially if you're writing 60 to 80 pages. I feel mine will just be like 20 pages or something. Consider the voice your witches use when they're writing just for themselves. Are they playful, droll, optimistic, or something else? Letter writing. At the end of each volume, your witch will write a letter to their mentor back home. These letters should run for about 4 to 5 paragraphs. You'll use some special prompts to construct your letter, a coda, and some chosen reflections. The coda introduces something new to your story to wrap up the volume, whilst reflections mostly draw on your existing entries. Incorporate all these prompts into a single letter. Consider the voice your witch uses when they're writing for their mentor. Are they honest, polite, evasive, or something else? And then lesson writing. As your witch grows over the year, they will improve their skills. We track this progress by writing lessons. These are short summaries of experiences, typically a single sentence. So, for example, we have I helped Father Benito cure his orchard of blight. I broke the curse on Gonville's pigskin hat. All I can think about is that What We Do in the Shadows, the cursed wizard's hat. I stood up to Andrea's bullies in the palace gardens. When you write a new lesson, write it underneath the most relevant skill, usually one your witch was using during the experience. And then a note on truth. Sometimes you might feel that your witch is unable or unwilling to write the whole truth down in their journal or a letter. It could be painful, embarrassing, or there may even be a magical reason. Ooh. In letters to their mentor especially, a prompt might ask you to embellish or omit something important, or to even tell barefaced lies. If you can keep track of the truth in your head, that's fine. Otherwise, it might be helpful to make a brief summary in a different style near the written record so you can remember it for later. Nice, I like that. Again, trying to keep it's trying to keep that accessibility open, because some people might find it really difficult to lie or comprehend 2 different narratives at the same time. So be like, hey, if you write it on a separate piece of paper but keep it away from your book, it just separates and separates that story so they're not attached in some way. Very cool, I like it. And I do like how it says a note on truth, a note on writing. I think that's a good way to and it feels very evocative and good summary of each individual section. Starting your story. So we've got volumes. Your witch's story takes place over 7 volumes. I thought it said 6 earlier. Blocks of content that you'll work through in sequence. In Departure, the first volume, you'll create your witch, say farewell to your home village, and journey to Koriko. We'll introduce the rest of the volumes as well as cards and dice stacking when you finish Departure. Fair enough. Again, not overloading you on stuff, which is good. Departure is kind of an extended prelude to your witch's time in Koriko. Oh, you know what this reminds me of, actually? It actually reminds me of the Worlds Beyond Number, the children's prequel that they did. That sort of like gentle coziness. So maybe that's what I'm getting those vibes off. I could just see Erika Ishii's character in my head. All the content for the departure is in its own chapter, starting in a few pages on page 24. Again, I like this. It's acknowledging that it'll start later, but it gives you the actual page number as well. That's very hard to do, actually, especially if you're writing all of this bit. But then to go back through and check and double check, like to make sure that numbers match up. Very good. So you won't draw cards or stack dice. Instead, you'll follow the instructions to lead you through a series of choices and prompts. As you go, you'll create new journal entries as introduced on page 18. Rest. As each volume draws to a close, you'll rest, taking a moment to consider the events and the emotions your witch has experienced. Each volume will tell you how long to rest and what you might consider. If you feel comfortable, you should rest in the darkness or with your eyes closed. Use the ambient soundtrack or wait in silence with a timer. And at the end of your reflection, write a new lesson under any skill. Yes, I remember this. Again, Artifact did this, Jack Harrison's other game, and the Skeletons does this as well. You time yourself and you just like close your eyes and you think and reflect. I love the fact that there's a soundtrack somewhere which I will absolutely check out. Great. Ooh. And then the letter at the end, it says, finally, with your rest completed, you will write a letter home. Each volume provides a unique set of prompts that construct your letter. This is your chance to conclude and reflect on the volume you've just completed, as introduced on page 19. Breaks. So each volume is designed to take a break between 1 to 3 hours. Hang on. Each volume is designed to take between 1 to 3 hours to complete, depending on how much you write for each journal entry and the kind of prompts you choose. Consider taking a break between volumes, whether it's a few minutes or a few days. It's always better to break up at the end of a volume rather than partway through if you can, but it's no big deal if you can't. Interesting. Okay. Making changes. The lists and suggestions in this game will sometimes give specific examples and names. Your witch might carry a lime green pocket radio, or their friend might be called Rupert. Other times you might need to come up with something to fit a format, like a precious stone or a bird of prey. Choices are generally drawn from a real-world mid-century, so the 1950s to 60s aesthetic. This is coloured by the presence of magic, but it's mostly a low magic, insignificant or forgotten in everyday, existing on the fringes. All these details can be omitted or moulded to fit your story. So, with Dad's old 35mm camera, you can change the relation to an item You can change the relation or the item to whatever fits best your story. The key part of the suggestion is that it's vintage equipment given to you by a close family member. I really like that, actually, giving that example of like, here's something, how you can change it, rather than like, you can change it to be whatever, like, it's actually giving you exact, like, the key parts of this. And it's the same thing before, when it was like breaking stuff down, it's like, what's really important is these bits to it. Like when it said, the prompts, where it was like, okay, so what mistake did your mentor save you? It's like, okay, so you've got a mentor, people come to witches, so it's breaking it down to those sort of basic building blocks. I very much appreciate the writing on that. I think that's really good. You might not even like the name Koriko for your city, and that's fine too. Just substitute your chosen name every time you see it in the book. Just be aware that the further you stray from the list and suggestions, the more you need to come up with by yourself. Aww. If that sounds appealing, then maybe it's a good approach to you. Nah, all random for me. Excuse me. We'll introduce some more rules later, but now you have everything you need to start playing the departure. Turn the page and begin your story. There you go. Chapter 1 done. All right. Well, yeah. Let's look at what it is to make a character. Oh, how beautiful! It's the sort of page is a huge big tree, like massive, like one of those redwoods, and it looks like there's buildings put in it. So presumably this is the little village that you've come from, starting out as a witch. Again, beautiful sort of like browns and greens and little bits of like red detail. And at the bottom of this particular tree, there is a like a little like a wooden shack. I think it is integrated into the tree itself, but it looks like there's. Oh, I thought they were bottles. I think they're people. I think they're people looking up. And there's sort of little red detail about them. That's super cute. I really like that. Oh, and then the other side of it is like it's looking out onto the bigger world, and you can see in the sort of middle distance a little witch type person who's got like a witch's hat on, and their cat are reading something, so a little bit further away, away from the sort of village. That's super cute. I really like that. Again, I don't know if it will show me. Probably won't show me the 2-page view. No. Very cute though. I really like it. I wonder. I'm sure. I should look at it myself, but I wonder if this sort of stuff that you would put as like this particular image here that we see, I would really like that again on this wall behind me. I'm a big fan of like RPG art. I really think that's cute. I think actually I like this a lot better than the cover. The cover does exactly what it needs to do. It needs to show like movement, a journey, witchy stuff, and so I get that. But I really like this. I really like the colours of it. It's just more my sort of vibe, I guess. All right, chapter 2, Departure. Okay, so we have an introduction about me, my story, farewell, take flight, journey, Koriko, rest, and letter. Amazing. So this whole chapter looks to be roughly about 13 pages, I want to say, but probably a few more just on top of that. Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll go through as much of this chapter as we can, but again, I am aware of time, so we've got like another hour or so we're okay, but just checking. So, set up through play. This first volume is a little different from the rest. We're going to set up the game while playing it. You'll create your witch, give them life as you gently explore their home and the people who are important to them. Let's zoom out for a moment. The pivotal question at the end of the game is this. As your year draws to a close, will you stay in Koriko or will you return to your home village? As such, it's important to understand what their village is like and what it means to leave it behind. Oh. And then there's like a little line drawing of presumably a witch holding their cat familiar, and looks like there's clouds behind them. And they look like they're peaceful, as if they're sleeping, perhaps. Your story begins. When you're working through a volume like this one. You'll be playing as your witch and making choices from their perspective. When prompts refer to you, that means your witch. Empty your hands and close your eyes and take a moment to breathe. And then open your eyes and turn to the next page and start your story by creating your witch. A magical year of dreams and adventures awake. I really do like when games instruct you to take a moment and close your eyes and breathe, because that for me is like the magic circle ritual. It's like, okay, let's make that break. We start now, you know, rather than like, oh, when do we start? Like it's making a point, like we're going to start on the next page. Take a breath. Let's go. And I like that. I like that separation. Personally, it helps me when I'm doing when I'm doing solo games, and like it helps with that bleed effect as well later. It's talked a little bit about safety stuff. Like it's probably going to bring it up as we go, but it does, and hopefully it will say something about the debrief at the end. Like, how do you feel, that sort of thing. I kind of wish that sort of stuff had been mentioned a little bit up top, but again, I think because of the way this has been written, it is introducing it over the whole thing, so you have to read the whole book before it. Oh, go away, stupid. Oh, let's ban that person. Absolutely. Why do people think I need more streamers, more followers on this? Like, if you're following me on this, thank you, appreciate it, but you don't need to. I'm doing this for my benefit. About me. You are a witch. A young person with burgeoning magical powers. You walk between two worlds. You're a teenager who needs to love and fight and cry and shout, but as part of the next generation of witches, you also carry the burden of an ancient dying tradition on your shoulders. We're going to start with your bio, a couple of paragraphs to establish some key truths. Create a new journal entry, and here each instruction we have, anything that's important is in bold here. Before we begin, we must break the curse of perfection by making an intentional mistake. No! And it says, mark your journal with a typo, an ugly smudge, a messy scribble, or other undesirable mark. With that done, introduce yourself to your journal however you would like. A simple hello, a rebellious cry, or whatever you feel like writing. Then use the following section, copying it exactly or editing it to fit your style, replacing the words in brackets and in red, with a choice from the next page. When you have done this, carry on your journal entry with my story. I like it. Again, it's quite hard to make a I don't know, like an aesthetic mistake in a digital journal. But I like the idea of typo or ugly smudge, or like maybe I would do like a cross out thing. I don't know. I like that though. So it says here, my name is Name. I'm a 16-year-old witch in training when you first see me, and you probably notice my look, and look. When I wear style and carry with me pretty much everywhere. You'll probably also notice my familiar, name of familiar. They are the adjective animal that never leaves my side. I would definitely put Fancy Alice on mine. She doesn't leave my side, but she likes being very close to me. Sit in my lap and it goes, no, I don't like your lap, and then we'll sit on my cushion. That's my cushion next to me. Our bond is so strong that we can even talk to each other, though you probably won't understand us. Most folk from my village say I'm trait, I think. People close to me make it clear that I should always be trait. As for me, I think I'm trait, and I'd like to be more trait. So funny. Let's see. Okay. Oh, and look at that. It's sort of, hang on, if I do like a full-on 2-page. There. Oh, again, I'm sure it does it better. Like the about me, and then you flip over, and then there's these stuff here. Oh, look-see. All right, we won't read them all out, obviously, but name. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's got suggestions for stuff. This is it. It's suggestions. A broad-leaven tree is birch, hazel, larkspur, and then you've got like animal, songbird, old-fashioned name, Winnet. Oh, what a great name. Hog. Oh, man, that's great. Your witch's pronouns can be whatever you like. Note them down. And then you've got looks, and then we've got stuff like Coke bottle glasses, fuzzy beard, shaved head, meticulous makeup. Style, we have stuff like, bright yellow dress. We have a herringbone coat. Actually, absolute peak Fiona for a 16-year-old there. Garish dungarees. Oh, no! They're not garish. Bright red bow, crown of briars, and bone charms. Carry, we've got that 35mm camera. Sketchbooks, we've got a dog-eared almanac from the year I was born, my mum's final research notes. Oh, a pouch of soil from my garden. Amazing. Okay, some interesting ones there. I think the only thing I'd say, again, I can't tell if there's the same number of suggestions, right? 1, 2. Like, I feel like there's a lot of suggestions here. Maybe they're just bigger. I think I would like to be able to roll for it, rather than just pick one. I think I would rather roll. So maybe have I'm going to say a D20's worth table for each one of these. Maybe a D10 for names. Adjective, we've got bright-eyed, fearless, skittish, dozy, two-headed. Oh, that's two-headed adjective. I don't know. An animal, we've got raven, mink, spider, moth, crab. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, creepy crab. 100% want a creepy crab. There we go. And a trait, we've got stuff like lazy, ungrateful, spoiled, pragmatic, composed, shy, creative, excitable, entertaining, admired, and boring. God, can you imagine? Most folks from my village would say I'm boring. I would really like to be more boring. I do like there's a mixture of positive and negatives, for sure. But I like that. Just put boring everywhere. I mean, people close to me make it clear that I should be always more boring. I think that's why. As for me, I think I am boring, and I'd like to be more excitable. It doesn't say you can't pick, you can't use one more than once. So, anyway. Instructions. So this is your story. A few paragraphs to set up your impending adventure. Continue the entry you began in your bio. Same as before, use the following section, copying it exactly or editing it to fit your style, replacing words in brackets with a choice from the next page. Sign off your entry however you would like. A simple goodbye, a pensive thought, whatever you feel like writing. And then move to farewell. So the story we've got is, I'm writing this from home, the quiet little village I've lived in all my life. I live here with some name, the village witch. They are this relation. People in the village say I'm their trait, boring, but they actually can be boring when it's just us. I decided to become a witch. Since I decided to become a witch, they've acted as my mentor, teaching me the basics of the old ways. We've learnt a lot together, but now it's time for me to put into practice on my own, far away from their guiding hand. Me and my familiar will be leaving on the next full moon, just 2 days from now, to spend a year away. I hope to drive, but I also want to drive. When I dream of my new home, I wake up with lingering memories of aspect and aspect. Okay, and then at the bottom we've got a very cute line drawing of somebody in not garish dungarees, I'd say. So we've got name for the homes. We've got Summer Spa, Pencon, Carnaby. Oh, Carnaby's a good one. We've got name for stuff. So other name. Oh, Yarrow. Yarrow's a good name. I like that. I like the name of. Oh yeah, I like that. And then relation, it says here, notes the specific relation of mum, uncle, granddaddy, baba, all that sort of thing. I think that's quite cool as well. Like, actually define it however you would wish to. That's pretty cool. Trait, cheerful, dedicated, peaceful, generous, stubborn, grumpy. It can be more grumpy when it's just us. Boring and grumpy. Drive, we've got here, hone my magic into something truly special. Show the world that witchcraft isn't dead yet. Find out what a new culture can teach me. Pursue my non-witchy interests. That'll be cool. But chill out and enjoy being a teenager. Ooh. Then aspects. What are these aspects? They were like, I dream of, wasn't it? I dream of the restorative tang of freshly brewed tea. Alright, this game's for me. Absolutely. I don't know if anyone else saw this on the BBC News website, by the way, and it made me really cross in a slight sort of disgruntled way. But the BBC had an article talking about how tea wasn't as popular anymore in the UK. And they said the reason why is because the young people, i.e. 18-year-olds, said that, oh, well, tea is an old person drink and we don't have time to sit around and this, that, and the other. And they only spoke to young people. They didn't talk to older people who might drink, I don't know, coffee or can't afford lots of fancy teas, and because clearly the market is down for tea. What they do drink instead, the young people, is bubble tea, chilled drinks, sparkling or carbonated drinks. And I'm like, okay, yes, that's fine, but they're also incredibly sugary. I am a big fan of bubble tea, and I'm a big fan of that stuff, but I couldn't drink it every single day, and it feels very popular. It feels very sort of look at me, I'm having my bubble tea. It doesn't feel like a treat. It feels like a performative visual thing. So anyway, I've lost 2 viewers as a result of my little rant on tea, so apologies. I was just like, I can't. Anyway. Okay, so I like those aspects. I definitely would use the tea, because I think tea is great. And also tea is a thing of sitting down and relaxing and taking the time for it. Finally, we've got the farewell. So instructions here is that you have 2 days before you leave home. To begin the first day, roll two dice, so 2d6. 1 is used for a reflection and 1 is used for an encounter. Remember, you can always shift your results. Create a new entry using your answers to these prompts. Then roll again for the second day and follow the same process. When you've finished both entries, flip the page to take flight. Alright, well, why don't we... I'm going to use my new dice from Hatchling Games, who I very kindly won them in... Well, I won them in a competition, but they gave it to me at Dragonmead. He's very cute. Rune Fable dice. Let's roll. I'm going to use this first one. It's going to be the Reflections. That is a 6. Oh, these dice are all great already. So the 6 is here. Ooh. What do you hope you can still find in your new home? T. What can you quite happily never come across again? Funky pickles is a suggestion. Oh man, that's absolutely true. I absolutely would love to find funky pickles in my new home. What could you quite happily never come across again? Chestnut cakes, cornflower meadows, and rattlesnakes. There's a mixture of food stuff and locations there. I think I feel I maybe wouldn't expand it to be not sadness, but like hope to you get friends, enemies, rivals. And then the other one, oh, that's a 2. So this is an encounter that would encounter on the first date. So your mentor has prepared one final trial for you. What magic task do they set for you? How do you fail to meet it? Oh, that's brutal. You can see that they're disappointed. How do they try to reassure you anyway? So the examples here gives are complex potions, windswept flight, secret scrying, or rotten blight. Oh, it feels like those the magical wizarding game based on a popular book series by a terrible person. They used to have that sort of thing like in the intro. They're like, oh, we'll do these things, and oh, come on, let's get them sorted. Yeah, as a sort of like tutorial photo. So that's what it feels like there. I quite like that though. That's quite good. Awesome. Number 4 caught my eye. You pay a visit to your oldest and best friend for the last time in a long while. What mischief or comfort do you indulge in together? Tea. What hopes do you share for the future? And we've got a long walk, a quiet drink, a favourite film, or midnight hijinks. I like it. And there's 4 examples, examples for each one. I think that's a big tick. What I do like as well, they've got these quotes at the bottom. I'm not reading them out because they're not necessarily added to the actual gameplay per se, but it's a part of the layout. Look at that J.D. Salinger thing there. Of course it's like J.D. Salinger. Dimitri says, I'm starting to wonder whether all these examples will always rhyme. Oh. Let's see. A historian, a carpenter, a priest, a gardener. That rhymes. A lakeside cafe, a waterfall cave, a sunflower field, a rose bloom grave. Ah, Dimitri, I think you've hit on something. I absolutely didn't see that. I guess swollen buds, not just floods. Okay, that's absolutely blown my mind a little bit. Let's see. Making friends, fitting in, screwing it up, learning nothing. Sort of, as a half rhyme there. My mentor, my mother, my spirits, my brother. That's a more obvious one. That's really cool. Oh, I didn't notice that. That is I say sneaky. I like that. That's really that's taken a lot of effort. So kudos to Jack there. Oh, that's very exciting. I was just going to say about I like the little quotes. Was all I was going to say. But Dimitri's there going like, "Have you noticed? There's a rhyming scheme." And I gone, what? I mean, I can see it there. Wise nephews, weeping aunts, stern faces, joyful chants. Just imagine Jack is just there with a big old rhyming dictionary. Take flight. Instructions. So whether you wish to or not, you can delay no longer. It is time to leave. Choose a goodbye from the following section and create a new journal entry to use your answers to the prompt. And then flip to journey. I like how each of these pages, each of these sections, obviously they're building up the volume. They're like 2 pages though. And a lot of it is just like, here's the instructions, really brief at the top. And then there's all these examples. You could easily blitz through this quite quickly. So goodbyes. We've got a crowd, we've got a feast, a pair, alone. Oh, alone? Oh, there's some pictures on the other side. Okay, so we've got 4 different sort of goodbyes. So let's say a crowd. So the night is clear and lit by full moon, and a crowd gathers to see you off. Who offers practical advice? Who preaches tired warnings? Who is too overwhelmed to say anything at all? You mount your broom cautiously. Do you shout back any last words as you depart? Tea! A feast. Your mentor gathers your friends and family for a great feast. What do you eat? Oh, absolutely tea cakes. Or mooncakes. I love a good mooncake. Who is most open with their feelings? Who makes terrible jokes to cover theirs? Do you step out before the meal is over or endure a series of heartfelt goodbyes? Was your last glimpse of your family? And then a pair. 2 figures stand close, silhouetted by the moon. You and your mentor make your final preparations. How is this place significant to you both? What charm do they carefully weave to keep you safe? Or when you meet their gaze for a moment before parting, what do you see within? And alone. With the full moon at its zenith, you gather your belongings in silence. Rain beats down outside and the streets are deserted. You open the door carefully, guiding the latch to keep it quiet, and then you step out. Why did you choose to leave this way? And as you fly away, do you look back? Oh, that's so sad. Wow. Because I think, does it say that the mentor agrees for you to go and stuff like that? I think if you pair that up with that difficult trial, maybe maybe you go a day early or something, I don't know. I think for me, I really like that pear one. I think that's super cute. I really like that. But all of them, they're really good. I really like that. And then we've got images and examples of stuff. Oh, interesting. It talks about the encounters, and so you would actually write the encounters. So these are images of stuff. I wonder how are they. They're a little bit blurry when you zoom in, but that's fine. But again, there's no alt text, which is a bit of a shame. I would love a bit of alt text for this. But I like how it gives you an example, like, say, this is the farewell bit, encounter 1, blah, 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 you know. So I get this showing the example here, but it's a shame there's no alt text. Certainly for the first one, it blocks the other one. And when I say this, it's a illustration, essentially, of 2 pages of a journal, one on top of the other at little angles, in actually fairly clear writing, but yeah. All right, and journey. So the instructions are for this. You are on the move, flying high over unknown lands to find a new home. The journey lasts for 2 exciting days. To begin your first day, roll 2 dice. One is the reflection, one is for the encounter. Create a new journal using your answers to answer these prompts, and then roll again for the second day using the same process. When you've finished both entries, flip to Koriko. All right, let's do this first one. So the reflection that's a 2 we got. How has your familiar adjusted to life on the road? It's their first time away from home too, and we've got dozy calm, eager attention, solemn moods, prudent direction. Bit of a half rhyme. Okay, I'd like that. Yeah, asking about your pal, and then I rolled a 1 on the encounters. Your familiar spies a winsome town below you. They try to convince you to stay there. Which of its features do they extol? Why, despite this, do you feel it's lacking something you need? Smiling faces, fields to roam, wealth and plenty, just like home. Very good. And then, alright, Koriko itself. So, these instructions. Somehow you know you found the place, your new home, Koriko. Choose an approach and a welcome from the following sections. Create a new journal using your answers to these prompts. And then flip the page to conclude this volume and your first rest and letter. So we have 4 approaches. We have guided by nature, led by crowds, drawn to the buzz, taken by surprise. Alright, let's read the top. So, guided by nature. You can feel the flow of the terrain channel you forward. Then ahead of you, all at once, is the city. What natural feature frames the metropolis? How does its architecture reflect the landscape? When you rest for the night, what natural shelter do you make use of? And here we've got desert dunes, misty peaks, bamboo glades, marshy creeks. And then we've got second approach is led by crowds. You begin to note markers of urban life below you. What kind of people can you see drawn to the city like a beacon? What novel sound or scent takes you by surprise as you get closer? When you rest for the night, what group of travellers lets you stay with them? And here we have dusty merchants, theatre troops, tick, absolutely. Stalwart pilgrims, haggard troops. Ooh, haggard troops would be an interesting one. Drawn to the buzz. The city is a noisy, messy hive of activity, industry and commerce in ever-shifting patterns. It is always so much bigger and busier than you could ever expected. What are the largest machines you can see? When you rest for the night, what vehicle do you sleep in? And we have colourful boats, thundering trains, fluttering ships, towering cranes. Fluttering ships is quite a fun one. And then we have taken by surprise at the bottom there. Ooh. Despite its size, you almost fly straight past the city. How does it blend in with the surrounding environment? You pause to take a closer look. What alerts you to the bustling city concealed within? When you rest for the night, what hidden sanctuary do you discover? We have cliffside carvings, deep ravine, treetop bridges, weird machine. Amazing. And then we've got, so when you picked your approach, I think for this one, I would absolutely pick. I like these two, taken by surprise and drawn to the buzz. I like the fluttering ships idea. Weird machine, that's so much fun. Oh, and then we've got a very cute line drawing of a witch flying on their broom with their familiar cat. And the same thing, we've got welcomes here, curiosity, indifference, apprehension, chaos. So, The people you've met so far have been mostly curious about you and your witchy background. How many decades has it been since the last time a witch visited Koriko? What aspects of your powers are they most keen to ask about? What do they misunderstand? So we've got secret covens, magic potions, future visions, cool explosions. Indifference. People here are so busy they hardly notice you. Oh, this feels very kiki, doesn't it? When you're flying around on your broom, nobody looks up. What all-consuming fixation are most people focused on instead? Despite this, what familiar tradition is still seemingly honoured? Fashion rules, strange devices. I literally thought phones is what I thought. Little prayers, exchange prices. Apprehension. People shut their windows and avert their eyes when you walk down the street. You managed to talk to someone long enough to learn why. How did the last witch who lived here get things so wrong? When was this? What physical mark of the misused power still lingers? Sealed up mansion, warping roads, bleached out gardens. Mare's a toad! Mare's a toad, mare's a toad, dun, 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 dun. You really tried to, this is chaos. You really tried to make a good impression, but the place is so different from your village. What terrible mistake do you make in front of a huge crowd? You worked so hard to make amends, but the damage is done. What unkind moniker do you later learn the local media has given you? Oh no! Winged Wrecker, a Mystic Peddler, Baba Ditch Witch, Poison Peddler. Baba Ditch Witch. That's pretty good. I like that one. Alright, and then we move to rest and letter. As you reach the end of departure, take a moment to pause. Rest for 30 seconds. Consider the ambitions you have for your year ahead and the experience that might help you realise them. Then you may write a new letter that captures those feelings. Writing your first letter. You're now ready to write your first letter home to your mentor. Read the coda and choose 2 reflections using the answers in your letter. Then consider taking a break before turning to chapter 3. The coda. A humble roof. You found your new home but still finding your feet. What temporary accommodation have you managed to secure? You are perfectly safe, but it's far from perfect. What frustrations do you have to deal with every day? And why won't you be able to stay here all year? And we have a canvas shelter, a hostel dorm, an all-night diner, oh, a train platform, oh no! That is so sad. And then reflections, we've got journey, why here, advice, small talk, and fiction. And then I see, so you've got to choose 2 of these using answers in your letter. Okay. Your journey to Koriko was long. What or who was most memorable about your travel? And what do you miss about the open road? You got why here. So as soon as you saw Koriko, you knew it was perfect. How were you sure it was right for you? What has chipped that confidence already? Probably being called Baba Ditch Witch, probably. Advice. Back home, someone gave you some advice. How has it already proven useful? How do you worry it might get you into trouble? Small talk. Write something trivial about the flora or fauna you saw whilst travelling. What embarrassment or truth are you avoiding bringing up? That actually reminds me. Sorry, to go back onto tea. I remember my ex-flatmate from uni, Ben. He didn't know that he had tea often. And he went to a cafe that was next door to our house, and he didn't realise that not all teas have milk in it. So he had green tea. He ordered green tea, and like, yeah, no worries. He goes, it came without any milk. And he goes, oh, can I get milk? And the server stared at him and was like, what do you mean milk? He's like, well, just milk for the tea. And they were like, okay. And they brought him, without questioning him, the tea. The tea and milk. So again, different to like bubble tea, obviously. It was hot tea and I laughed very hard after that. Again, no one, you always, you find out, don't you? But he's like, yeah, they looked at me really weird because I had milk with my green tea. And I was like, you don't have milk with your green tea. You should, ideally, you shouldn't really have milk with any tea, but, I like milk with my tea, but not green tea, because that's wrong. Finally, we've got fiction. So make up something interesting or impressive that happened on your journey. Oh no. What do you hope your mentor will feel when they read it? Oh no. Fair enough. Oh, and then we've got on the next page, like, Oh, cute. We've got little letters and stuff. Oh, I see. So what it would do in that letter, it talks about like, okay, do the coda, why here, this, that, and the other, like as like this is what's inspiring for each paragraph. I understand. Okay, cute. That's very good. Oh, I like it. Again, the image. It would be nice to have a little bit of alt text, perhaps. What I will say, they've got these letters, which is very cute actually. And then at the bottom, they've got like a post, like a envelope with stamps on it. I like how with these letters, they've got like little pictures of frogs on them, like a little stamp. That's quite cute, like little ephemera. Oh, look at this image, beautiful. So we've got the witch up a ladder, looking at various books on a huge, big sort of curved bookshelf in a gorgeous room that's full of stuff. It's actually, this is exactly how I'd like my room with all the art on the wall. And they've picked up a book and they're passing it down to an individual at the bottom. Clearly they're looking at stuff. It's, again, beautiful sort of oranges and dark greens in this particular image. So pretty indeed. Oh, and then it continues on to the next page. It's a 2-page spread with a beautiful plant and some sort of vase with like children motif in it, like angels, I think. Very cute indeed. And they've got life in Koriko. So this is the third chapter. It's going to go through the main sort of rules. What we'll have for each individual chapter. So I think what we'll do, we'll go through as much as we can. I've got about 30, less than 30 minutes left. So we'll go through a little bit. We won't read all of it. I think this is again where you'd play it through. But yeah, and then we'll come to an end at the end of this chapter, I think. But I will say I'm really liking it so far. I'm finding the way it's written is very easy to read, and very evocative and fun. And like as Dimitri's pointed out, the rhyming thing, I'm like, that's really cool. It's made me enjoy it a little bit more. So for this chapter, Life in Koriko, we've got rules for city living, suit decks, volume deck, confidants, cards and twists, dice stacking, and a recap of everything. And I think chapter 5 or 4 was talking about like confidants, so NPCs and stuff like that. So giving some examples for that. Alright, so rules for city living. So there's journey so far. So let's pause to reflect on the journey we've made and what's yet to come. By now you've left the sleepy village and travelled across the land to reach Koriko, your new home. And things are about to get busy for you. A metropolitan perspective. The rest of your story will take place in or around the city as the year passes and the seasons change. Departure has its own unique way of getting you into this new place. Now let's learn how the 5 remaining volumes work. Okay, great. The second volume, Arrival, covers your witch's first few weeks in the city. You'll meet a handful of confidants and start to get a feel of Koriko. Oh, okay. And then we'll move through the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter. I was right. Each getting their own volume of encounters and exploration. And then we'll finally wrap up your story with Year's End, the final volume. You'll find all of these in the next chapter, A Magical Year, from page 56. Got it. I understand now. I understand. Ooh, preparing to play. Yes. Before continuing your story, though, you need to set up and learn a few things. That's what this chapter is for. We'll start by getting your tarot card ready and introducing the rest of the rules. Okay, yes, it's chapters and then volumes is what it means in the book, right? In the story, okay. We start by getting your tarot card deck ready and introducing the rest of the rules you'll need, like things like drawing cards and stacking dice. We'll then explain how it all comes together in a structure and flow that you will use to play through each volume. And finally, we'll wrap up this chapter with an overview of the whole process and a flow chart that you can use to check and reinforce your understanding of the rules. Big tick. Love that sort of stuff. Alright. A note on tarot. The tarot is a deck of playing cards, but for many people it's also a revered object of cultural significance and meaning. The prompts in this game draw inspiration from the Rider-Waite interpretations, though many prompts subvert or ignore established meanings altogether. Though there is a kind of ritual to the drawing and interpreting of cards, the game does not intentionally draw on these practices of tarot reading. In short, you do not need any knowledge of tarot to play this game, but you might find it an interesting topic to learn a little more about. The minor and major arcana. So there are 2 types of cards in a tarot deck. We've got minor and major arcana, and each type of arcana has a special purpose in this game. The 56 minor arcana are used to provide prompts called moments. The cards are like a standard playing card deck with 4 suits, so wands, cups, swords, and coin, each containing an ace and numbers 2 to 10. However, tarot cards also have 4 face cards: the page, knight, queen, king. The 22 major arcana represents the confidants in the game. The confidants are significant characters your witch can meet as you play. They are numbered that go from 0, the fool, to the world at 21. The suits. Ooh. To prepare the tarot card, we're going to split them into 4 suit decks, which makes sense. These 16 card decks contain a mix of major and minor arcanas, each grouped around common themes. So wands are ambition and expression, cups are community and tradition, swords are influence and conflict, and coin is work and wealth. Of course, coin is work and wealth. Preparing a suit deck. So follow these in steps to create a suit deck. So take all 14 minor arcana cards from a single suit, so wands. Take the 4 major arcana cards from that suit, listed below. Shuffle these 4 cards face down and select one at random. Combine it with the 14 minor arcana cards and shuffle well. Select the second major card from the random 3, place it on top of the rest of the shuffle cards face down. Set the 2 unused major cards aside. You will not be using them again. How interesting. So for that, because so you'll be getting those 2 confidants at some point. Interesting. And yeah. Oh no, that's a lie. What are we talking about? Page. No, ignore that. And then we've got... Oh wait, I'm a fool. Sorry, I'm absolutely foolish. So 14 cards obviously includes the page, knight, queen, king. And then for the major arcana, so here we've got wands. You take the magician, high priest, hermit, and the moon. You would randomly select those 2, with one of them being on the top. I understand. Repeat this process for each suit until you have 4 suit decks, each with 2 major arcana cards in it, one shuffled in and one on top. Got it. Special confidants. So the wheel, death, the devil, the tower, judgment, and the world are not aligned with a suit or shuffled into a suit deck. Keep them nearby. You'll introduce these confidants only if explicitly told to do so. Okay. Organising your suit decks. So with your 4 suit decks prepared, you should place them in order of left to right. So wands, cups, swords, and coins. You should keep them in this order, as you won't be able to tell them apart from the card backs. That is true. If you need to pack your cards away, separate them with some labelled scrap paper so they're easy to set out again when you need them. What is the volume deck? So the suit decks contain all the possibilities your witch might encounter over the course of their year. Friends, jobs, reflections, mysteries, tragedies, and much more. However, you don't draw cards directly from the suit decks when you play through a volume. Instead, at the start of each volume, you create a much smaller deck of cards, the volume deck, which will contain all the prompts you need. This is important because you can influence the cards that go into your volume deck, shaping the kind of experience your witch will have there. Okay. Each of the remaining chapters will start with you setting intentions for your witch, which is the process of creating your volume deck. You're in the writer's room here, so consider your witch's mood and ambitions and your own interest in developing story. For the instructions at the start of the volume, drawing cards from the suit decks and confidants as directed before shuffling together. So, for example, in spring, you will choose 2 suit decks, adding 2 from each. Add 1 card from each of the other 2 suit decks, and add 2 or 3 confidants from your circle. This will give you an 8 or 9 volume deck. You have chosen these suits you'd like to focus on, and how much time you'd like to spend with your confidants. We'll explain the circle in the next one. Right, so not only... Wow, there's so much randomization here. I like it. Drawing cards. You'll draw 7 cards from your volume deck to complete a volume. You might run out of cards before drawing 7, and that's okay. Just move on to the end of the volume with the rest of your letter. Ooh, okay. Then we go on to confidants. Confidants are archetypes, particular kinds of people with the potential for drama. Only when you introduce one of these archetypes to your story will you turn them into a specific detailed person with a name. Not every character you introduce to your story needs to be a confidant, and not every confidant needs to have a memorable impact on your story. Confidence in this game simply provide the content and support if you do decide to spend more time with our particular character. Absolutely. Ugh, gross. So I just picked something off the back of my... There was big hair. Ugh. Your circle. So your circle contains the confidence you've introduced to your story. It's a set of major arcana cards that you choose from and add to as you play. The most common way to add a confidant to your circle is by drawing the major arcana card from your volume deck. If you've never met that major confidant before, this is your opportunity to introduce them to the story. You may also meet a special confidant for a bonus or event. They work the same as any other way. Find their card and add it to your circle. Confidant cards will get added to your volume deck at the start of a volume and then return to your circle as they're drawn and resolved. Okay. When you add a confidant to your circle, follow the following steps. Find their page in Chapter 5, read their introduction and decide whether you'd like to add them, create their character using the character lists, recording your choices in your journal on a new page, choose the tones and add it to the journal's map and their tone lists, read their meeting prompt, which you'll use in your journal entry, and then add the major arcana card to your circle. Okay, so a little bit more in depth, perhaps, but it's interesting. I guess I'm just checking. I presume the arrival means you already have a confidant or two, like from your circle, perhaps, that you might not add those folks, perhaps, in that first one. Maybe it's a slightly different one for setting intentions for that. It will tell us, I'm sure. Okay, cards and twists. Card prompts. Once you prepare your volume deck, you're all set up to begin drawing cards and telling your story. Each card you draw will give you one of 4 kinds of prompts to use. Moments, meetings, hangouts, and crossroads. Moments. Every minor arcana card has a matching prompt, a moment. These are memorable jobs, rooftop reflections, perilous rescues, or other notable events that will make up the majority of your witch's year. Each moment has a suit, which you can use with any tones you've added to the matching section of your map to further inspire your story. Okay. Meetings. So when you draw a major arcana card for the first time, you introduce that confidant and add them to the circle using their meeting prompt to describe your witch's initial encounter with them. Confidants also have suits, and you'll often add tones to your map as part of meeting them. You can draw on these tones in subsequent hangouts. When you draw a major arcana card for a confidant from your circle, your witch can hang out with them. Choose a hangout prompt. You can and should bring confidants into your story whenever you like as part of a moment or even a hangout with another confidant, but only their special hangout prompts count towards the unlocking a crossroads. Ooh. When you've completed 3 hangouts with a confidant, you may resolve their crossroads instead of drawing when you next draw their card. Ooh. A crossroad is a pivotal prompt that introduces change or closure to a confidant story. I like that. That's quite fun. Twists. So whether your card draw resulted in a moment, meeting, hangout, or crossroads prompt, you now choose a twist. Twists are a short phrase or short phrases intended to inspire your answers to the card prompt. Things like morning routine or a warm welcome. Your choice of twist can make a big difference to tone. Imagine meeting a new confidant with a twist of a fragile shell instead of a pressure to party. Each volume has a twist grid, a 16 unique twists presented on a 4x4 grid. If it's helpful, go to page 60 to look at one. Oh, well, we're going to see one in a bit anyway. Record every twist you choose, either copying that twist to the grid into your journal at the start of each volume, that's pretty good, or drawing a sketch of the grid at the start of each entry. Some twists are risky, which mean that you'll stack dice as part of resolving your prompt. Risky twists are things like your first test or genuinely scary. They are marked with the word risky on the grid. When you mark twists to complete a row or column, like bingo, on a volume's grid for the first time, you can choose one of the bonuses listed below it. Bonuses provide things like special confidants or free lessons. You can only choose one bonus each volume, resolving it immediately. Okay. Discarding cards. So when you draw a confident card, you should add or return it to your circle after resolving it. Otherwise, after resolving or skipping the card, you should discard it. Set your discarded cards aside in a pile. If you have cards left in your volume deck at the end of a volume, return any confident cards you've previously met to your circle. Discard any other remaining cards, including confident cards you haven't met. Okay, dead straightforward. Alright, what's this dice stacking stuff though? This sounds worrisome. Excuse me. A note on stacking dice. You use dice to roll for prompts in Departure, but now the main way you use dice is by stacking them into a tower, one on top of another. This tower becomes more unstable as it grows, and when it finally collapses, it represents your witch making a significant failure or mistake. Oh, a bit like Dread. Okay. You should always stack dice on a steady, hard surface with nothing breakable nearby. You might want to try a tray or border if possible. If you knock your tower over by accident when you're not trying to stack, or you need to pack away the tower at the end of the session, there are no consequences. Note down the previous height and rebuild your tower when you're ready to start again, taking as many attempts as you need. That's quite nice. I quite like that, rather than the dread like, oh no, it's toppled though, that's the end of that. When to stack dice. So you'll stack dice whenever your witch does something risky, which means there's a chance of failure. Which means that there is a chance of failure that has interesting consequences. There are two ways that your witch's day-to-day life can get a little risky. The first is by choosing a risky twist, which we talked about and described on the previous page. And the second is when a card prompt tells you that it is always risky, so you'll stack regardless of the twist you choose. When your witch does something risky, you'll always have two of the 4 skills, so power, craft, care, and lore to choose from. If you're choosing an approach you're choosing the approach that your witch will take as they attempt to deal with the risk. This choice is shown on the page where you found the card prompt. Hopefully it'll show us an example of this in a second. The lessons you've written under each skill represent your witch's experience and practice. The more you have written under a skill, the fewer dice you need to stack when you choose that skill. However, you should always choose a skill that makes sense for your story, even if this witch is not very good at it. Sometimes we need to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone to grow. So, how to stack. Take a number of dice according to the skill chosen and the number of lessons beneath it. Stack 3 dice if you have fewer than 3 lessons under a skill. Stack 2 dice if you have 3 or 4 or 5 lessons under a skill. Or stack 1 if you have 6 lessons under a skill. Stack them one at a time, adding to the existing tower if you have one. Okay. I mean, I can do 3 right now, so I guess you keep on going, right? So there's 3. Sorry, I'm just giving an example for myself. Successful stacking. If you stack all the dice without the tower collapsing, your witch succeeds at what they are doing. They brew the perfect potion, catch the tumbling parcel, or unlock an enchanted chest. Write a new lesson under the skill used to capture their success. The first time you manage to stack 21 dice in your tower, take the Major Arcana card for the wheel and place it on the top of your current volume deck. Draw 1 extra card during that volume. Oh, I would love to know what that is. Presumably it's like some witch has found you or something. If the tower collapses whilst you were stacking, your witch fails at the task. They break a window, a promise, or break a heart. When the dice tower collapses, don't touch anything. Count the most common result amongst the fallen dice, ignoring any still stacked. If there are any ties, pick the highest number. Use this result on the consequence table on page 83 to find out what happens next. That's fun. I like that. That's really cool. And then finally, clean up your space, removing all dice, including any still stacked, before playing it again. I assume there's 1 dice tower and you constantly keep stacking it until you get to 21. That's what it is. Okay. And then alternate rules for stacking if that doesn't work for you. I really like that. I think I like something tactile about it. I don't think I'll ever get to 21 though. I'm liking this game more and more. Absolutely liking this game more and more. And then we've got the recap. So, again, I realised I would have liked to see like a full, like maybe an extra sheet in the download saying like, this is the recap, this is so you can always have it to hand. So, setting up a volume. When you set up a volume, follow these steps. Make a new section in your journal to mark the start of a volume.
Add a line to your index. 2. Set the intentions, so draw the cards from the suits and the circle of confidence as instructed to form your deck. And we've got playing the volume. You draw a card from the volume deck and find its matching prompt, either a moment, which is minor arcana, or from a confidant, which is a major arcana. Choose and mark a twist prompt from the volume's twist grid. Choose a bonus if you completed your first row or column. You do this once per volume. Stack the dice if you chose a risky twist or the prompt is always risky. If your tower collapses, we get the consequences with the most used die result. Write an entry using all the prompts you've collected. Capture your witch's story by writing a new entry, and then discard the card or return the confidence card to your circle. You repeat this process until you've drawn 7 cards. Okay, there's a lot to it, but the idea is that you take your time with this. So I very much appreciate that. That's quite fun. Ending a volume. So once you've drawn 7 cards, you've reached the end of a volume. Rest, closing your eyes and waiting to be instructed, or waiting as instructed. Write a new lesson based on your resting reflections. Write a letter home to your mentor, and then clean up any remaining cards in your volume deck. And then with that, be ready to either take a break or begin a volume game. So yeah, I can imagine this taking a little bit of a while if you're writing 7 different entries for each one. Roughly 7 different entries for each one. I think the only thing I'd say is like these two. So that the tower. Oh, is this? Yeah, going to play the volume list. I think 3 and 5 they should be in a little bit because they're not going to happen every single time. That's fine. Oh, there's a flow diagram. Of course, they said there was a flow diagram. Let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, this is very good. Oh, interesting. So draw a card, major or minor. Perfect. I actually would have this up, to be honest with you. So it goes, draw a card. What kind of card is it? It splits off into minor and major. Moment prompt, confident prompt. Choose a twist. Completed a row? No, yes. Yes, get a bonus. Was it risky? Yes, stack dice. Did the tower collapse? No, write an entry. Yes, yeah, perfect. Oh my god, that is great. Again, shame there's no alt text, but that's so clear. I really like that. Good job on that. Oh, look at that picture. So now it comes to like another picture of like a witch going through their different sort of phases of like getting ready. A beautiful background, like walking down a corridor. There's like a big sort of stag skull. Again, the oranges, and they're dressed very differently as they're sort of getting ready to go out. Oh, look at there's also lots of art and stuff on the walls. There's like some different utensils, a watch. Oh, gorgeous. And then it goes to the magical year. All right. Well, that's it. That's us done. Unfortunately, we've run out of time to go look at the ending stuff. But we got through about over 50 pages, which is not too bad, not too shabby at all. So let's go back to the top. What do we think? What do we think of Koriko's A Magical Year? I would 100% play this game. I think I've come around to it. I like the idea of coming back to it and taking the time with it. I think the dice mechanic, I'll be interested to see what the alternate stacking rules is. I like the fact there is an accessible tabletop thing where you can mix all the stuff in together using the screen tabletop GG thing. That's really cool. I think the artwork's really beautiful. Again, as always, there's a shame there's no alt text. I think it's one of the better written RPGs I've read for a little while. If anything, it's interesting how it's like you don't need to know all the rules up front. Just start playing and don't worry about it. And I think that confidence it has in like teaching you it chapter by chapter, I mean, it could be off-putting to people, but actually I quite like it. Because like the card drawing thing, I was like, oh, there's 3 ways to get prompts. There's like choosing it, coins or whatever, dice. But actually, the card stuff is obviously the most important, and it's a little bit overwhelming. So if all that was at the front, you don't need it for the first chapter, it might be off-putting. So I actually really like how they've done it as a sort of accessible, like a bit by bit, as if again, unraveling a story, unraveling a book. I think that was really, really cool, really interesting. I'm just looking through it just now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we were going to do this a bit more, I mean, I see some of the prompts and some of the structure. Again, it would be interesting to see how the story ends. Like, what's the sort of the end of year wrap up? Again, presumably it tells us in that magical year with all the splits up and stuff. Very clear. I love how there's a soundtrack as well, and it gives you time to breathe and really feel the story. And yeah, Sunset Glow, the final chapter with the designer having some alternative rules. Maybe shall we have a quick look? Sod it. I'm going to break the rules. Break my rules on my own channel. Alternate stacking rules. I will say, it's a shame that these particular links don't hyperlink. I guess that's another sort of slight critique, is that the links, there's no hyperlinks per se. Like on these pages. I actually don't know if on the other one. Well, let's look at the stacking things first. We've got, it's bags of 21 tokens. That's great. Oh, I like that. And a random picker tool as well. Oh, again, not linked. That is a shame. I like that, picking out tokens. And then one collapse token. That's really cool. I like that. Very, very cool. And then other games to try. Oh, yeah, the artifact game is the one I was thinking of there. Dimitri says, I think this game is aware that the journal writing is often the most intimidating bit in these kinds of games. So it gets introduced out of the way in the departure before stacking the rest of the mechanics on top of it. I 100% agree with you. I think, again, I feel like I was maybe a bit overwhelmed by how big this book is. Like, look at these sort of prompts we've got here. But again, if anything, it's done with so much care and so much love. I really feel those inspirations, those touchstones for it. It is really interesting. I think I will put it on my list to play for Where in the new year, because I think I could create a pretty cool story. I think my wish, as Stars and Wishes go, I would wish to see if there was like an online template of some sort, because it would encourage you to bullet journal and to write and think about this stuff. But yeah, I think it's a really good shout. So yeah, if people are interested, go check it out. It's $18 on itch. Obviously, you can get a physical version on the Mousehole Press website. But yeah, I've been thoroughly impressed. I think it only needs a few more bits and pieces in terms of accessibility, perhaps. Certainly with those hyperlinks. Actually, did it? I bet. Again, and I will say, I don't know if this is my version of it as well. I think I downloaded this a little while ago, so it might be different in an updated version. I think actually, if I go to Chrome, yeah, what did it say? Oh no, don't show that. The updates. I don't think I've got 1.1, so I might be looking at an old version. So we got Flying Together. So this particular version, you got rules for playing with the game with your friends. Oh, magical sandwich, an alternative start for a visiting student. So this will be this. There we go. These extra bits here. I see. The patron, a special conflict included in the patron backer's reward, and then we've got. So it includes a little fix that also fixes printing. So yeah, presumably that's the digital version. Digital tabletop. There's a few things on the to-do list that will be added later for free updates. So the soundtrack, fine, plain and accessible versions of the game's files. Amazing news. That's good to see. Digital versions of the stickers. Oh my god. So there you go. So I tell you what, I'm glad I could see that. Let's look at Mousehole Press. I want to see the actual physical version of this game. Oh, how beautiful is that? So beautiful. Oh, the box edition. I think that's the one you have, Dimitri, right? So beautiful. But there you go. That is, let me go back to, don't lose my screen. Go back to Big Fiona Face. Hello. Thank you, folks, so much for looking at it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't sure about it, I'll be honest, and I've put it over. Can confirm the latest PDF version is hyperlinked. Oh, amazing. Thank you for checking that, Dimitri. I didn't want to... I wouldn't have the time to look. That's brilliant. That's really good. Again, it's such a small thing, but actually really helpful with such a big book. So that is incredible. Thank you for correcting me on that. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to spend your what day are we on? Wednesday. Yeah, I had to move. That's it. I had to move my thing on Wednesday. This has been a Too Long Didn't Read session where we looked at Koriko. If you enjoyed this, come check out What Am I Rolling, which is my podcast. I run lots of different TTRPG systems, a mixture of group games and solo play, and also interviews with game designers. Basically, it's a way for teaching people how to do stuff. Oh, thank you very much. I'm now even more eager to play Koriko. Oh, no, thank you. And thank you for checking us out, Dimitri. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, please go check it out. And what I was going to say is that we also have a Discord. So if you again, it's just an open invite to anyone who's watching, but if anyone's played this game or wants to come talk about it, come to the Discord, and I'd love to hear more about it. I think it's such an interesting concept, and as folk have rightly said, intimidating to write such a long big journal stuff. But I think it's done it in such a way, such a gentle approach, and now it makes me very keen to try and record it in some way and make some sort of content on it, because I think it's a cool, and I think it's an enjoyable story. I think one that people can relate to very much. So there's that. I also run the DM's Book Club, which is a weekly D&D Book Club podcast where we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include it in our role-playing campaigns with myself as co-host and Hamilton, my other co-host as well. We read the books so you don't have to. We do the D&D Book Club. It's very different to where because we like talking about things and making things better, she says in quotation marks. We're complete amateurs. We love role-playing games and we like creating stories, and we're using the D&D stuff because there's a lot of stuff out there. Not all of it is great. We're absolutely admitting that, but we try and make it more manageable, and especially try to dissect like what we think should work for the stories. So if you want to check that out, a book reading sort of stuff, come check that out there as well. That's all I have. We're back tomorrow, actually. Probably the final. No, well, it's not going to be the final Too Long Didn't Read stream before the end of the year. That would be wild. Tomorrow we've got Arc Doom is what we're reading. Again, another one that's been pushed back on my list. Arc Doom is a rules-like, tension-heavy fantasy tabletop role-playing game where anyone can create urgent stories ticking down a seemingly unescapable apocalypse. Arc Doom tabletop RPG should be very interesting. It's by Mementos.com, that's where it is. By Mementos. So we're going to try it out. Again, that's been on my list for a little while. I think that also got some Emmy award-winning stuff as well. And then I'm going to have to schedule some more stuff. I think there'll be a little bit, maybe one next week, because Christmas gets in the blooming way. And then we're going to start the new year with some more tabletop RPGs. Too Long Didn't Read TTRPGs. I've missed it. I really want to come back to it. And so here's to some more stuff to do as well. All right, my friends, I'm going to love you and leave you because I've got to go off and do some bits and pieces. But thank you so much for checking this out. We hope you'll be back tomorrow for Arc Doom. I think it's just called Arc. I think I've called it Arc Doom, and that's not what it's called. Come back tomorrow for Arc, and yeah, she'll see you in a little bit. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let me find the end of stream button. Bye.